APTA Grand Prix Tour presented by our national sponsors Viking and Uline. We are live at the Philadelphia Cricket Club on the APTA network presented by eNet Live. I'm Brad Easterbrook alongside Mark Fischel, bringing you the men's semifinals of Mark Parsons and Juan Arraya, the number 1 seeds, versus Sven Burus and Roman Stoisavljevic, the number 3 seeds. The players are just making their way onto the court, and Sven Burus is the newly minted director of platform tennis at the Country Club of New Canaan. Roman Stoisavljevic is the director of racket sports at Century Country Club. Juan Arraya is the director of racket sports at Greenwich Country Club, and Mark Parsons is the director of racket sports at Siwanoy Country Club in New York. All 4 players are pros. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the players, Mark?
Well, we saw a lot of Arraya Parsons yesterday, and they have to be considered a pretty big favorite today. I think that they're kind of finding their way as a team. Mark Parsons spent the last 5 years playing with the great Johan Durant, and he really sacrificed his game for the good of the team. In fact, I would argue that Parsons is the only player to win nationals both as an alpha and as a support guy. But I think as a result of that, there were a lot of times yesterday there were some holes where Arraya was expecting Parsons to play balls and he wasn't there because Parsons hasn't done that. So Arraya is going to be the alpha despite the fact that he's playing the deuce. He's got the big spin overhead. And one of the keys to the match for me is Burus and Stoisavljevic's ability to lob deep enough to get him off the net. Because if he's not getting him off the net, then there's not a whole lot of doubt of what's going to happen in the match. In Burus and Stoisavljevic, we have an extremely talented team. They didn't start out playing together last year. They reconnected when Burus's partner at the time, Alex Banchila, got hurt about halfway through the year. But they got back together and they played some great paddle. They had a win over Durant Parsons in the rain at Short Hills. Stoisavljevic, who's the lefty playing the deuce court, has a vast array of shots. Sometimes, I think, too many. He gets confused on what balls to hit. Burus's game is a little more simple. Great backhand, weak forehand, volleys very well, good overhead. So how do you see things unfolding today, Brad?
You know, I think the biggest thing is this is Burus and Stoisavljevic's first Grand Prix semifinal. You know, it's their first time, I think, facing Arraya and Parsons in a team like this with that massive transition game. We've talked a lot this weekend about the transition game in the men's game, the ability to defend against it. Now, like you said, they have a ton of talent, but they're going to have a plan. I think they did a better job having a plan of play yesterday. They knew what they were doing in their quarterfinal match. It wasn't exciting, you know, per se, but they were playing the ball slow and deep down the middle, slow and deep, and they didn't believe when they were playing against Bredberg and Lefevre that those guys could hurt them, and they were right, so they were able to get through that match. Today, I'm not sure what their plan is or if they know how to deal with what's going to be coming at them with the various formations that Arraya and Parsons do and the one-up, one-back formation.
Yeah, you know, the tendency is to play fast when you're nervous. And fast in this case is going to be bad for Burus and Stoisavljevic.
I kind of agree with you. We talked a bit off air the other day. I think a lot of people face this one up, one back, and they lose track of what they're supposed to do. You can still do the same things. Lob the ball high and deep. Don't let Arraya mix it up there the way he wants to. Keep him off the net and keep doing it until they make a mistake and then try to capitalize. Everybody's always trying to drive it past the guy at the net or around them, when in fact, you know, it's okay to just keep a good deep lob. If they can get their lobs, like you said, and get them off the net and then counterattack, that'll be a great formula for them.
Why don't we take a look at the draw and see who's left? So you see the match we're showing you, which is Burus Stoisavljevic versus Arraya Parsons. On the next court, we have the return of Grangiero Wilkinson versus Chervinsky McNerney. How do you see that match unfolding, Brad?
You know, I think that's a great match. You know, Grangiero and Wilkinson, it's their first time back after a couple years off, and they just play really well together. They mesh well together. They play at the net well together. And, you know, and it's no surprise they're here in the semifinals today. They had not too difficult to run, but they just work well together, which I can't say is fully the same with Chervinsky and McNerney. McNerney has learned to become either an alpha or a support partner. He can kind of morph his game. He's really become, you know, quite a great player on the tour, and Chervinsky is amazingly talented. But the key is their choices and what they're going to go for at that right time. I think that Wilkinson and Grangero actually have always a better plan, like a better way of playing together as a team. So I think the key there is going to be the teamwork of Wilkinson and Grangero against the talent of McNerney and Chervinsky.
I think that match is a virtual toss-up.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, for sure. I think it's a pick 'em for sure. I'm going to give the edge to Chervinsky and McNerney, but I think I wouldn't be surprised with any result there.
You know, it's interesting. I was talking earlier about Stoisavljevic's ability to hit lots of shots, and sometimes that's a blessing and sometimes it's a curse. And I think that Marek Chervinsky suffers from the same thing. I think he's got so many shots. I mean, his topspin backhand is one of the best shots in the game.
He probably has the best one-handed topspin backhand in the game.
But there's a time for it, and there's a time not for it, and I don't think he's quite figured that out.
Yeah, he's so athletic that he'll hit shots fading back away from the ball, which is probably never advisable no matter how fast you are. Right. So why don't we take a look at our players on the court? They weren't on the court when we first started announcing today, so why don't you announce who we have on the court here, Mark?
So from behind the players, you have the lefty Roman Stoisavljevic on the right, and his partner in the blue hoodie, Sven Burus. On the far side of the court, in the gray cover and the black pants, is Juan Arraya. And in the blue and white cap on the ad side is Mark Parsons. I think if our viewers are not familiar with Arraya and Parsons, then welcome to the show for the first time.
Yeah, this is going to be, I'm looking forward to seeing, Burus and Stoisavljevic react to their first semifinal against a team with a ton of firepower. Now, one of the things that's great about Burus and Stoisavljevic, they're excellent at not giving their opponents attacking balls. Keeping the overheads deep in the court, not in places where they can hit them. Burus has a pretty good serve that's not easy to drive. Stoisavljevic has a pretty good serve that's not easy to drive. So they do a good job sort of keeping the ball in the court in non-attackable positions. They don't always do a great job attacking their opponents, at crucial moments. So we'll have to see how that unfolds.
I think that's a great analysis, Brad. Stoisavljevic especially gets tremendous amount of spin on his serve. And you'll see when he's serving to Parsons in the ad court, his serve will go down the tee almost exclusively and kick almost all the way over to the side wire. And there's a ball that Nathan Lefevre was really struggling with yesterday in the quarters.
Yeah, I actually think that if you're a player like Arraya, if I were him, I would position myself all the way over into the alley to look to return that ball and either cut it off before the screen. Otherwise, you're pretty much relegated to having to lob that 80% of the time, probably.
But the point you made, which I think is spot on, is Burus Stoisavljevic are a very good defensive team. They serve well, they have good overheads, but they haven't yet figured out how to translate that into offense.
Yeah, I find that when they start to dial it up and try to create more offense from the backcourt, that's when the wrong choices come in or they make a few errors. The key for them is going to be look for the right ball, hit the lob in a certain place, and then look for that certain ball where they can move in position and attack. And then, of course, when you do so, you have to watch out because Arraya is right there, one of the best at basically shutting down an offense from the other team. His hands are exceptional up at the net.
Yeah, there's such a fine line, and I think all talented tennis players fight it in terms of playing too fast and playing too slow. And several times I've seen Burus Stoisavljevic equate patience with passivity. And I think they tend to go into a shell, and all of a sudden you'll see their feet stop moving, as opposed to being patient but being ready and looking for that right ball, because you never know when you're going to get the bad overhead. Is it going to be the 5th, the 12th, the 42nd? And you have to be prepared.
So our players are taking serves. The umpire will chime in shortly. So how do you see this match? Obviously the prediction you're going to give me is probably going to be Arraya and Parsons, but what do you think? Do you think it could be a tight one, or do you think it just depends?
Yeah, as you pointed out, this is the first trip to the semifinals of a Grand Prix for Burus and Stoisavljevic. I don't know if they've seen Arraya in a situation like this. I have high hopes that it's going to be a competitive match, but it would not surprise me if it wasn't. And we were switching over some bonus coverage of the other match earlier.
Now I'm looking forward to seeing how they react and how their defensive game is going to match up against the firepower of Parsons and Arraya. So they're getting ready out there. Oh, peak shorts today from Arraya.
and it's absolutely a perfect morning for paddle. Temperatures probably in the high 40s, low 50s, no sun whatsoever, something the women had to deal with on Friday. Mark Parsons has his game face on, which means he's smiling.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a very gregarious kind of killer out there.
Yeah, the great paddle philosopher Steve DeRose once said that playing on Parsons' court is like being in class with a substitute teacher. Anything goes.
Foot faults, especially keep an eye on the first set, of course. If you guys have a call that you want to question, please don't just look at me. Make sure you verbally give me an indication you want to challenge. All right? Hold up. I'm going to do the introductions real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, the semifinal match is a best of 3 sets with tie breaks. To my left in the ad court from Edgewater, New Jersey, Sven Burus. His partner in the deuce court from Stamford, Connecticut is Roman Stoisavljevic. To my right in the ad court from Weston, Connecticut, Mark Parsons. His partner in the deuce court from Stamford, Connecticut, Juan Arraya. Burus Stoisavljevic won the toss and have elected to receive. Players ready?
Brad, we should take a moment to thank the whole crew in Philadelphia, Scott Valatek, Derek Yost, chair umpire Andy Podolsky. It's just been a great performance by the whole crew.
All right, Mark Parsons starts it off.
Love.
And those are the types of errors that Stoisavljevic is prone to making. But he will also have periods of brilliance.
Smart not to come in there by Burus and Stoisavljevic. We mentioned before, Burus has a very good backhand. Forehand is a good stroke, but lacks the confidence. He's working on that. That's going to be all right. So we see 2 points and 2 incredible Arraya cutters. And obviously dealing with the Arraya spin in the screen and defending against it is always a part of a match against him.
Arraya tends to be more effective against lefties in the deuce court because he's prone to hitting that down-up overhead, which Max Lepavere exploited a bit yesterday. And the lefties have a harder time with it. So this is the question, Brad, which is where's the offense going to come from?
Right, well, you saw Stoisavljevic move into the center 2-3 times now, and I think that's going to be one of the plays. Stoisavljevic is going to be quick into the middle. He's a quick strike kind of attacker. He'll hit the ball, dip the ball low, and blitz in. Great return. Nicely done by Stoisavljevic. Probably a little, almost too confident by Arraya there. He should have pushed it deep past it, Stoisavljevic there. Good job, 30-all.
Yeah, to me, this team goes as Stoisavljevic goes.
30.
When he plays well, they're a load. When he doesn't, they're not. And he tends to be very up and down.
Yeah, well, Burus stays solid. You know, the area we talk about it a lot is him working on that forehand in the middle of the court. But he stays completely solid all the time. But like you said, sometimes it's a little passive also. He's working on getting that grip over a little more on the forehand side, trying to hit the forehand with more spin so he can be more consistent with it. But he's not going to miss much.
That was a great setup, actually.
Yeah.
Right ball, just failed to execute.
I like the start there. The pace, it's the right kind of pace, lobbing the right balls, Trying to keep Arraya off the net, taking the offense when it's there for you.
I also think it's a mistake to try and lob Parsons. Just like we saw with Durant, you're almost better off lobbing him than trying to lob his partner, having him come over and take a free swing at the ball.
Yeah, you got to get Arraya off the net. So let's say you lob Parsons. You hit it in there, a drivable ball comes in anyway. If Arraya's right on the net, he gets 90% of them. You're going to see this, a steady diet of dumping that ball down the middle of these guys, because we talked about this a little yesterday. The middle is a safe place. Now Arraya and Parsons are not going to miss much, but eventually they may get a little antsy and try something too soon. So watch them, they're dumping every ball here down the center. We all know the Parsons backhand is the stronger shot and the Arraya forehand is the stronger shot. If this continues, are you going to expect to see Parsons and Arraya switch in the backcourt?
I think we'll see some switching. I also think we'll see Arraya attacking a little bit with his backhand. Likes to hit that little flick we just saw.
15, love.
That is a perfect point there for Burus and Stoisavljevic.
Stoisavljevic's serve is similar to John Hughes, a serve that we've seen Mark Parsons struggle with in the past year.
Yeah, the ball's going to come into Parsons on that side, not away from him. He's so good at reaching out and getting that ball that's going away from him. So the lefty spin's going to work into Parsons' body here.
That's a great return.
40-15.
Was a great return.
I think
40-15 on their scores.
One of the issues with Stoisavljevic is he tends to be very predictable with his serve. The deuce side he always serves wide, the ad side he always serves the tee, which can enable Parsons to sneak over. We'll see if he does something different today. And there's the switch you talked about in the backcourt.
Now the middle is less safe because you got the Arraya forehand in the middle.
Less safe, like driving without a seatbelt. Safe.
That's a great backhand there from Stoisavljevic. Smart push overhead there by Burus. Instead of speeding the point up, he just goes with a soft middle.
And there's Stoisavljevic, jumps in front of Burus to hit a volley that he didn't need to hit. Created movement by himself.
Self-inflicted movement?
Self-inflicted damage.
Oh, 3 in a row there. Nicely done by Arraya and Parsons.
The Burus and Stoisavljevic are working with legendary Jim Kaufman again. He's worked hard to slow them down. There's that good serve from Stoisavljevic.
Burus, Stoisavljevic.
Catching the nick.
Yeah, what Jim is starting to do is give them sort of a framework for which they can have a go-to game plan. I did find yesterday in spots, positioning was a little off for Stoisavljevic and Burus. And they're going to have to tighten that up a little bit today, make sure they're in the right spots so they know who's getting every single volley. Mark, we should also thank Greg Bowser, too, who's tremendous in setting us up here at the Philadelphia Cricket Club for a great event.
Game, Burus, Stoisavljevic. Scores 1-1 in the first set.
Good start for Stoisavljevic and Burus. Right pace, right game plan.
Woo.
Love it.
Love 15.
There you see some of the array of talents from Stoisavljevic taking that two-handed backhand off the deck, and what wasn't a bad overhead.
Still a down-up overhead, though, Mark.
Love 30.
Arraya looks a little out of sorts to start.
15-30.
Love 30 return must go over the net. He's not even trying to hit a big one.
Burus likes to blitz. We're going to see more of that as the day goes on.
See, this is one of the good moves they're making. They're putting Stoisavljevic taking that middle ball. Called it just wide. Confirmed by the umpire.
15-40.
See a little bit of disgust on Arraya's face there.
Something you rarely see.
Never seen it before.
Well, maybe not for a game or so.
That's a great overhead. Got to call that
40.
help and go up the line there.
Yeah, catches the nick, but that's the overhead Arraya likes to hit, which you can really attack.
Oh, it's Burus using a couple of off-pasters and he goes hard at Parsons there. Great first break.
And they are up an early break. I definitely like the tempo they're playing at.
You know, what they're doing is, like we talked about, it's a great game plan. They're giving them very little, and they're going to make Arraya and Parsons maybe hit the wrong shot at the wrong time. Any team will get antsy some of the time if they don't see a look for enough balls. It's hard to stay disciplined.
Drew Broderick has taught us all that.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, Sven Burus to serve.
That's a great look by Burus just to let that ball go.
And you see Arraya throwing his arms out in disgust.
I feel like he's trying to amp himself up. They feel flat.
15 all.
Starting to move his feet there, trying to get the energy up. You're going to try and increase the pace of play here. That's it.
All started with that great overhead from Parsons that put him off balance. They were never able to get a good enough lob to recover from the Arraya spin.
Well, the ability to dig out one more ball against Arraya is a big deal. We saw that yesterday in that great match, that great second set with Casey Watt and Max Lepever. They were digging out so many balls that eventually Arraya might miss a cutter because it does take some risks to hit it. So their ability to defend that shot is going to be one of the crucial parts of the match.
40-30.
3 misses from Arraya this game.
Just not dialed in. I can't say that was a bad look. It's a shot he makes most of the time.
Great blitz from Parsons. You don't see him doing that too much. Parsons, the best ugly volleyer you've ever seen, Brad?
He's an underrated volleyer in my book. Everybody, you know, he's not a particularly offensive volleyer, but he volleys well. He's a good position volleyer. Makes most of them. Occasionally you get a blitz like that once in a while. I would put him in the ranks of, you know, Arraya or Durant, but he volleys well.
Interesting, we see very little of the Stoisavljevic cut overhead.
I think the plan, when you start hitting that cut overhead, they're speeding up the play and speeding up the point. I think the plan is to just keep dumping it down the middle. And now they got the switch here, so let's see if they start changing their spots. See, he's going to start moving it wider, but he's still getting the ball at the Parsons backhand. See, now they're going to the, there you go. Now they're going to the Arraya backhand. They're hitting to the edges. So they're going to go middle and edges. And they're just going to keep making these guys play until they take the wrong shot. It's a perfect plan. So now they're going to the edges. So smart. Nice soft hands there from Burus.
He does volley exceptionally well. Brad, talk a little bit about the lefty-righty combination at the net and positioning for volleying purposes.
Absolutely. You know, the lefty-righty issue, it's great to play with lefties. You can hit overheads and attack both sides of the court with a much, better degree. But at the net, that spot in the middle between the players, both players sort of have what we call a chicken wing volley there that's in the middle. So oftentimes the lefty has to sort of crowd in a little closer when it becomes a volley situation. And it makes a huge difference. That's a perfect point from Burus and Stoisavljevic, never giving them a look. And even that look was lower than the net, not the perfect ball for Arraya. He should be hitting an up spinner there. He overcooks it, hits the top of the net, and it's out. Every point like this, I think, could be mind-numbing for Arraya and Parsons. They love to control pace and have the play go faster. And Burus and Stoisavljevic are going to turn this into a tough grind where they have a tough ball to hit every time, not their favorite shot. So now you're going to see everything in the middle while Arraya is there and Parsons is in the ad court and Arraya is in the deuce court. There's the dump in the middle. See, they don't mind those soft rollers. It's when the other team gets attacking. Oh, you didn't think it was going over? Or maybe it was that little move Stoisavljevic made.
There's also a great lob from Parsons which drove Burus outside of the service box. Arraya was then able to chip the backhand at his feet.
It was a good play.
We talked a little bit about this with Johan Durant last night, Brad, but it's so interesting with all the great shot making we see. It lots of times it still comes down to who lobs better.
Oh, absolutely. The game is more athletic. There's a lot more transitions. There's different formations out there. But the basics haven't changed, right? Hit a ball in a place where your opponent can't attack it, and they're going to have to lob one more. And then you're going to have to keep playing this tactical game. And what they're turning it into is a tactical game, Burus and Stoisavljevic. And they're making Arraya hit that backhand chip, which clearly he can do it, and he hit a great one on the one before. But it's not his favorite shot. It's not his best play. Arraya's best when he's hitting that big topspin forehand and moving forward. So they're making this team play shots they don't want to play. And there you saw Arraya with a lob blitz there, which you don't see very often. So they're starting to feel out some different tactics and trying to figure out how they can change this around. Ooh.
And there you saw the fast switch in the backcourt. They weren't ready for it. Parsons found the backhand and drilled it through them.
Yep, didn't place the ball where they wanted it to. Now the pace is right. The only danger here is if you do the same ball every single time, the opponent's going to start to really key in on it. Good cut off there by Stoisavljevic.
This is a really important game for Stoisavljevic and Burus to get out in front. They're playing right, they're playing smart. I'd like to see them rewarded for it. Bunch of really good overheads.
Attacking, yep. You see this point speeding up a little bit here, though.
Oh, what a shot from Arraya.
That's the danger. They're trying to now start to attack and finish him there, but what they ended up doing is getting the ball too far off the screen, and it became not the right shot. And then you get Arraya moving forward, hitting an attacking shot down. They're going to have to stay away from that. That's the danger. As soon as they start to speed it up or hit the ball in the wrong place, Arraya and Parsons all over it. Nice dig. Oh, what a blitz and volley.
Now, this is not the right pace for Burus Stoisavljevic as they take over the net. Oh, Parsons rips the forehand.
Well, he's going to have to start because they're going to give him a diet of them.
Oh, that was a high ball. It was very drivable.
Nice read there from Parsons, cutting off the Burus backhand.
I think one of the keys for Arraya Parsons to be successful this year is to see that aggressiveness from Parsons. Cutting across, hitting the forehand.
They hit his foot.
I like that Burus called it out as it was hitting Stoisavljevic in the foot.
I think he planned on Stoisavljevic getting the foot out of the way.
Well, I know Stoisavljevic planned on that.
Love.
Like you said, that was a crucial game before. Let's see if they can keep it going in the right direction now, get it back to the right pace they want. Oh, what a tricky little ball there from Parsons. That's troubles.
40 love.
Like being in the washing machine, you've got to get them off the net. If he's on the net, you're in trouble.
Right, but like you said, in the washing machine, no control, no balance there. They're just happy to get it back, so it becomes tough to control that ball. Great play there by Arraya. That's a good blitz from Burus. It forces the overhead there from Parsons, which gives you an opportunity. Nice play there from Stoisavljevic.
40.
See Arraya apologize.
15.
He reaches for that ball. He knows he shouldn't have.
But Brad, when Parsons hits that ball, he's looking to accelerate play. So why don't you talk a little bit about that in terms of the things they do to pick up the pace?
Yeah, they're going to attack. They're going to hit balls firm and at the nick when they can, because the ball will rebound quickly off the nick. They're going to be making their opponents move and set up the point. Nice play. In a way where the point gets faster and faster, and that's when they excel the most. Oh, what a huge backhand and a great volley.
Great overhead from Stoisavljevic, catches the nick. 2-1, Chervinsky, McNerney early over Granziero Wilkinson.
Yeah, that's going to be a great match over there. Stoisavljevic starting to light it up a little bit here. That's the ball for Burus that he loves. The high backhand, crushes it down. You see the contrast in Burus and Stoisavljevic. Stoisavljevic now heavy cuts, attacking over his Burus, placed overheads, right spots, great volleys, soft and controlled.
Great move by Parsons. Another miss
Deuce.
from Arraya, back to deuce.
A little lower than the net, though. Not the easiest ball in the world. If I would, you know, Burus is so tall, I might go a little higher and over the net there on that one. Certainly over the net.
I like that decision.
Right, it's certainly over the net.
This is another big game for Burus Stoisavljevic.
That's a good forehand there. That's where you're in trouble from Arraya when he starts moving forward.
Arraya Parsons.
He dips that ball, and then it's so hard to get it around him. He's just quick up there to the net.
And most players you wouldn't want reaching for a ball like that, but Arraya with his athleticism was able to make that shot.
Well, you know, I always talk about playing with an advantage. He's still getting that ball higher than the net, so that's a good play. He's cut over that Burus there.
Yeah, I kind of sense a little bit of Burus and Stoisavljevic getting away from their initial game plan.
It's definitely speeding up a little.
Hitting a lot more hard overheads, a lot more cut overheads.
You see the action going up. It's fun to watch, but is it going to be beneficial for them to win this match?
It reminds me of the great Mike Tyson line. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
That's right.
You see Arraya hitting a lot of balls at that center strap. Lefty-righty combination, as you talked about earlier, Brad.
Yeah, that's the little bits and pieces I would like to see actually Stoisavljevic get a little closer in there.
Yeah.
Game,
So
Arraya
it tends to
Parsons,
happen. He'll
they
hit
lead
3,
in the
4,
first
5
set,
good
3
ones,
to 2.
and then he'll just miss one. And the early pattern you see is Arraya Parsons tending to win the important points as Burus and Stoisavljevic got away from their plan a little bit. It'll be interesting to see whether they'll be able to go back to where they were. I mean, the court awareness is such a huge issue in this game, Brad. Uline is the leading distributor of shipping, industrial, and packaging materials to businesses throughout North America. They ship over 2.5 million boxes every day, but they are so much more than a box company. More than 32,000 quality products are always in stock and ready to ship. Outstanding customer service means they're here when you need them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Uline, the best selection, products, and people for an unforgettable customer experience. So, Brad, if you were coaching Burus and Stoisavljevic, what would you be telling them in this changeover?
I think at this point in time, they got to reevaluate what their game plan is. They started with a specific plan. You could see it. You could see it actually working a little bit, and now it's sort of slowly but surely gone by the wayside. Now you have had Stoisavljevic hit a couple of winners here and there, but they're going to have to go back to being patient, putting the ball in the right spot, and only take that attacking overhead in a way where they can really think they can put pressure on Arraya and Parsons. Otherwise, the points are getting too fast. Now you're starting to see Arraya moving forward, hitting balls down, and it's not a recipe for winning this match.
You know, those last 2 games they played were anybody's games. Both teams had multiple game points.
Yep.
But Arraya Parsons came away with both games.
See, there's that hard overhead. I'm not sure. He's going to have to add a little more spin to that. He doesn't want that ball to fly off the screen as much. The more the ball comes flying off the screen for Parsons and Arraya, the better it's going to be for him.
There's a good lob.
It's great to watch some of the simple, focused things from the players here. Great shot there by
15,
Stoisavljevic, catching the net on the overhead.
And the line.
And the line.
Very smart.
It
You
was
should
a
try
smart
that
play.
shot more often.
I always tell people to do that more often. I don't understand why people don't work on hitting the top of the net and the line every time. Right, breaking out the two-handed backhand.
Usually you only see that when he's feeling very good about things. I like the pace of play again for Burus and Stoisavljevic.
Now you see Parsons going to the high, high lob. It allows you time to roam around in the backcourt a little bit. Catches Burus.
15
Flipping to the forehand there. Should have stayed on the backhand volley that time.
But very few good things are happening when Stoisavljevic is hitting that big spin overhead, other than, of course, when he aims for the net and the line.
Yeah. No, I agree. You know, if that spin overhead, people are enamored with it. And what a great serve. We talked about his great serve there. But if you don't know where it's going or where it's going to end up, it's not always a benefit. You have to have control of what it's doing. And he's got a good spin overhead, but it's still not a complete finished product yet. Whoa. Oh, it hit the seam.
40,
Is that what he's
15.
saying? Yep.
He's clearly saying that. I don't know if it hit the seam, Brad, but he's clearly saying that.
Well, I'm going to give it to him because he missed that by a large margin. I'd be stunned to see him miss it by that much if he weren't thrown off by something.
And there's the Drew Broderick Zorro
40,
shot.
30.
But again, the spin
Hard
overhead.
overhead into the screen there, right? Instead of softer down the middle. It's speeding it up. It's giving him the opportunity.
I think this is a really important game for Burus and Stoisavljevic to close out.
Great volley there. Those are those things about positioning that I think they need to clear up a little. I'd be moving slightly over there.
Closer
Both
together.
players closer together and in there. Great spot, though, by Arraya.
Testimony to how good Stoisavljevic's serve is that Arraya's given up driving it.
Yeah, I don't think you can drive it unless you move yourself way over to the side, to the right for Arraya there. It's almost impossible to drive otherwise.
It's like Stoisavljevic just can't help himself. He'll hit 4 or 5 good push overheads and then get away from it.
I agree with the call wide.
Called
Advantage,
wide by Arraya.
Arraya
Yep.
Parsons.
And confirmed by the umpire.
I guess is that Jim Kaufman is home, hoping they hit more, hoping they hit more Jim Kaufman overheads.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing about the he does have a great spin overhead, Stoisavljevic, but if you watch, you know, you have to be a little more, I guess you have to discriminate where it's landing. His overhead lands too short. It's not going long and deep and low. It's actually hitting the ground and popping up a little bit. So that makes it not as effective. There's no point in hitting it. Better to hit just a long, soft, low overhead than that. If he's going to hit the spin overhead, it's got to land deep in the court and then stay low into the screen. It's popping up too much.
There's your lob volley you like so much, Brad. Give yourself a chance to retreat.
Oh, nice little sneaky forehand there from Burus, but that's where Arraya is just so good. You would think what Burus did was great. He had to load his feet. All of a sudden, Arraya dinks it back, and he's on the net and putting the ball away on the next one. Hard to mix it up against him.
And again, that's not the game plan. Will they get into those fast exchanges at the net, the transition points? That's where they got to stop, throw up a few high lobs, slow pace down.
All right, so we had a 2-love
15
start.
love.
Or 2-1 start. Yeah, they got the break. And then it's 3 games in a row now for Arraya Parsons, and it's slowly changing. And the tenor of it's changing. It's not that Stoisavljevic and Burus aren't winning some points. It's they're losing 3-2 in this style. You know what I mean? It's bad odds. It's like going to Vegas. You're going to lose. The house wins.
30 love.
And they've had game points in all 3 games, and there you see Stoisavljevic miss the blitz, which again shouldn't be the plan. They're speeding up the pace of play.
Oh, a little confusion
15.
there. Great shot there by Burus.
That's fun, that's fast. Burus Stoisavljevic won the point, but it's not the right pace and tempo.
What a serve. Good switch there in the backcourt there by Burus and Stoisavljevic.
A little bit of a dangerous play from Burus there, hitting the forehand. Gets away with it. A volley from Parsons. We got to see that again.
Yeah, you got to get a replay of that. I don't know that's how you draw it up or teach it at home, but what hands?
Was it a forehand volley or a backhand volley?
It was an inverted backhand volley. It was a backhand volley on the forehand side is what it was.
Does that make it a forehand volley or a backhand volley?
Maybe it's a frack hand. I don't know. Back forehand. Not sure. I gotta think about that.
Good blitz from Burus. Parsons makes the error.
All.
That forced the error out of him there.
Yep, back to 30 all. Back in this game.
Ooh. Few errors there.
40.
2 loose ones.
Yeah, I think that Stoisavljevic's return might have been going wide too.
But we'll find this from time to time from Arraya and Parsons, or from Arraya, just a couple of just misses. It's impossible to stay completely clean when you play with such kind of aggression.
One of the things I love most about his game is his commitment to it. He never wavers.
Oh yeah, match point down, he'll hit a cut shot for a winner. He's not afraid to go for it.
Deuce.
He hits a cut overhead for winner there. That's something that all good young players could learn from, is just be committed to your style of play. Doesn't mean you can't vary the game plan, but stick with what you do.
Great backhand.
There they get
Advantage.
beaten in transition.
Arraya, Parsons.
Couple of good plays, couple of good looks. It's like they're right there. Burus and Stoisavljevic.
They're just not closing games. You can see, as we talked about earlier, all the big points are going to Arraya Parsons. This would be 4 consecutive games that Burus and Stoisavljevic had game point on, but didn't convert.
We'll see, they're still in it right now, but you're right. Oh, great. This
Oh.
is unbelievable.
Maybe we'll have to see a replay on that exchange
that's
too.
Incredible. That's dangerous. That is the wrong overhead there.
Arraya
You have to
Parsons.
know what it's going to do.
They
So
lead
that's
the
4
first set,
consecutive
5
games
to 2.
for Arraya Parsons that they had break point or were down game point. Now we're going to take a fast look at the replay, see if we have both of them.
Here's that inverted one. Oh, it's kind of a tough one to see because you got Stoisavljevic coming in front of him, but it's pretty impressive.
And the pirouette kind of added to it, Brad. I know Mark took ballet when he was younger in Canada.
Wasn't wasted lessons.
And here's the exchange at the net between Arraya
I
and
mean, that is just
Burus.
incredible hands by Arraya. And look at these shots.
Got to be so
Incredible.
frustrating for Burus. I mean, he played such a great point. Finished second.
That's part of the reason why we sort of are talking what we're talking about. You're playing with a guy who's one of the best. Burus should win that point, say, what, 9 times out of 10 against almost everyone, right? So it's never a bad play. It's a great shot. He's got the advantage. He's hitting attacking volleys down. Arraya, just incredible hands. Sometimes you just say nice shot. I mean, that's what makes Arraya one of the top seed here. Arraya and Parsons are the #1 seed, and it's for a reason.
Remarkable exchange. Changing balls after 7 games of the Grand Prix this year, which I think is a really good idea. We were watching some of the play yesterday, Brad, and the ball just gets so beaten up deep in a set.
I mean, it's tough. I was talking about this with Jerry yesterday. If you don't change the balls, I mean, the ball's destroyed. You can't even come close to getting a set of, in the men's game right now with the spin and the action they're putting on the ball. See, now, if you're a Burus and Stoisavljevic, do you think, we're just like a hair's breadth away, we just need to convert these points, or do you think we just need to start slowing it back down again?
I think they got to start slowing it back down again. But as we found so often, fast is fun.
And you can't say they're not, they're playing some good shots. They're just getting beaten.
Well, they're getting beat to a large degree because they're getting away from what they do well. So here they are back to that soft overhead in the middle, which I think is just a great game plan. You see Arraya standing on the center stripe.
Oh, tries to play a transition ball with Arraya at the net.
If that ball goes over the net, what happens, Brad?
No, Arraya stuffs it. So what's the point, right? You can't play that shot there. And it's hard to play a shot if you don't know where your opponent is either. And he's definitely not around it enough to hit an offensive one. So it's too much risk. We're losing track here of the way they want to play.
Yep, getting away from what they need to do.
You know, the great thing about this, you know, is A, the match isn't over. They still got plenty of time to figure it back out. And, you know, it's a process. It's never
15-30.
rare thing. We've seen this from a lot of teams on the up-and-coming way. You know, same thing with Powers and Hughes. You know, even last year, as the season went on, they didn't win a few. And they lost to these top teams. They lost to Arraya Morneau last year. Then they figured out slowly a way to get beyond it. So a lot of teams go through this.
But playing in a match like this is just great experience for these guys.
Whoop, little confusion there. It's Stoisavljevic switching, but Burus wasn't on board with the switch at that time.
So it wasn't actually a switch. He joined them.
It was a one-man switch, right?
They did have that part of the court covered completely.
30-40.
Set point for Arraya Parsons. I love how involved Parsons is in the match. Not playing passively at all.
That's a better cut if it goes long and low and stays underneath the net. That's when he's working. If he can dial that in, I would not mind him hitting it. But if he doesn't know where it's going to land and what the result's going to be, he's got to stay away from it. Anytime that ball gets up and comes off that screen, they're in trouble.
Great eye from Burus. Arraya one-hops the snowboard there.
Arraya is not immune to making errors. You have to let him do that. You know, give him enough balls that aren't easy for him to let him make an error or two. And that's 3 errors right in a row in about a 15-second span.
You don't teach that, let the ball go between your legs, drive it off the back wire play?
From underneath the net?
From underneath the net.
I don't teach it. Yeah, I don't teach it that way.
Okay, good comeback there from Burus and Stoisavljevic as they save set point.
But like you mentioned before, the big points are going to make a big story in this match too. I found in yesterday's match against Berg and the Fever that it was close all the way through. They had a plan. It was close all the way through, but in a weird way, Burus and Stoisavljevic didn't have to win the big points. It was almost like the other team went away at certain times of the court. I want to see when these crucial moments come, they play a really good big point.
Again, you're seeing Parsons very active at the net.
Great high lob there. There's another one. Awesome.
Good backhand from Burus.
Yeah, it caught him a little high and inside there. High and tight backhand. Pops it out, Parsons does.
Oh!
15 all.
What a shot in transition from Parsons, but that's his game.
It is his game. I mean, it's 100% his game. Burus almost looked surprised that ball was coming. It's almost like you should know that ball's coming, from a guy like Parsons. He stuck that off the screen, but he does it all the time. And that's the thing about paddle. Some guys have certain skill sets and they do shots that other guys can't. So you have to know what they can do.
15-30.
All right, call was called out by Stoisavljevic and confirmed by the umpire. From my angle here on the screen, it looked wide. This would be huge.
Let's
Big
see if we
point
can
here
take a
is
look at that call.
15-30.
See, that's the forehand that Burus has got to hit with conviction, Brad. It was a high ball off the back wire. It was clearly the right ball to drive, but there was no belief in the swing.
Right, and here's the thing about, you say it's the right ball to drive. Yes, it's higher than the net, could hit it, but he's not behind it, he's not driving it hard, and Arraya's right on the net. So if you're gonna hit a ball there, you gotta drive it. Otherwise, what happened, just there, Arraya basically just put it away. And there you go, mixing it up with him, and the old line.
But he had fun, Brad.
Yeah. Yeah, but he had fun, right? You get the horns. You cannot mix it up in too many of these exchanges unless you are attacking.
Set point number 2, and that'll be sufficient. 6 games to 3, Arraya Parsons.
6-3.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to come back with some bonus coverage from the other court right here on the APTA Network, presented by eNet Live.
When it's your job to protect the world's greatest nation, it's your responsibility to solve the world's greatest challenges. This is why we search for the best and brightest, why we train for every eventuality, on land and water, in the air, space, and even cyberspace. We operate in a complex world with one simple mission: win.
Give a little bit.
At Amazon, we've got millions of toys and games to choose from this holiday for kids of all ages, with free shipping on over 100 million items. So visit Amazon and give a little love this holiday.
6 games to 3.
Okay, we were about to show you some bonus coverage of the Grangiero-Wilkinson match, and they just won the first set 6-3. So welcome back to the APTA Grand Prix Series Tour and the semifinals of the Philly Open. And I think we're going to come back to the match we were showing you now, and we'll try and show some more of the Grangiero-Wilkinson match later. So Brad, we saw a lot of emotion and discussion between sets. Clearly one of the issues that Burus and Stoisavljevic deal with is they have a little bit of a sibling relationship, which can be good and can be not so good.
No, right. We heard from some people out there, we're inside the booth here, that there's starting to be a little tension between them. Burus is hitting a shot, and Stoisavljevic is saying you shouldn't hit that shot, and vice versa. So they're starting to feel a little bit of this tension out there. And we've talked about it before. They have it, and they're going to have to work it out, and right now. But I think what it is they got away from their plan, and they've lost control of what's going on. They were up 2-1 with a great plan, and now they're down 6-3, and they're playing some good points, but they're just the wrong points. That's a good cut. His cutter's starting to dial in a little bit now. Nice.
Great lob from Parsons. Arraya blitzes.
Oh, really good blitz.
Love.
Now, I always tell my students that, when the high lob goes up and deep, the person who's not hitting the shot has to keep their eyes forward and call out a possible blitz there. It's a great play by Arraya. He had the look.
Wow, Parsons, great backhand through them.
I like the fact that they started off with a little Aussie there right off the bat. They're committed to trying something different against the return.
15-all.
I like the fact that Burus looked like he was being positive over there, but my Croatian is not great. I can't quite confirm that.
30-15.
Ball spun off of Parsons' paddle there. Spun wide.
Parsons looks confident.
So after this game, we're going to switch ourselves over to the coverage of the Grangero Wilkinson match against Chervinsky and McNerney.
$40-15.
Really imperative for Burus and Stoisavljevic to get off to a good start here.
And I think it's imperative that they stick with an idea or a plan. You know, they've played a lot of really good points. It's like they play one way, then they go back and play it on a different way, right? So.
Well, there you saw it, where Stoisavljevic decided to hit a cut overhead to the Parsons backhand. Why?
If you're gonna hit the cut, like I said, it's gotta land deep and low. The ball can't get up like that. That ball landed short, bounced up high, and of course, Parsons doesn't miss high backhands.
That was the cross-handed forehand volley.
Cross-handed forehand volley. That's exactly what it was.
And there's the bailout spot, right to the Burus forehand. It's a great lob. Arraya just threw it down the middle. There's a good forehand from Burus. Think Arraya wanted Parsons to hit that ball?
Oh, he missed it. Great job.
Game, Burus, Stoisavljevic.
And they hold
lead
for
the
one
second
love.
set, 1-0.
Okay, we're going over to the second court and get a look at the Grangero match. So closest to us in the red shorts and black socks is George Wilkinson. And to his left is Marco Grangero. In the backcourt in the white pants is Marek Chervinsky. And in the blue shirt is Graham McNerney.
Now, we were talking about this a little in the pre-match. You know, Wilkinson and Grangero play so well together. They are a natural team at the net together. They get right up on top. Very active up there. Good offensive volleyers, actually. And they just have a great combination and teamwork. They spent a lot of time in the past working it together. And there was a couple years where they just didn't play together. I think, you know, I have to believe that's a big part in this match. McNerney plays with a lot of different partners. It's allowed him to increase his skill set. He's got a great game. But I have to think that Wilkinson and Grangero dialed in on what they want to do out here.
Wilkinson and Grangero play so well in terms of positioning together.
They love being up at that net and stuffing that volley back. You see there? Right. Perfect combination there. And they volley so well.
Grangero especially is one of the best volleyers in the country.
Yeah, you would have to say his offensive volley might be the best play. He's one of the best at reading a situation, getting up close to the net, and stuffing the ball right back. Arraya's great at it. Scott Kaler's a great offensive volleyer, but he's absolutely up there.
Wilkinson is not nearly as natural volleyer, but he's great positionally.
Yeah, and he's worked hard at becoming a great technical and positional volleyer. Yeah, I agree with you. Doesn't have like the natural hands of somebody like a Grangero.
Grangero's just smooth.
Yeah, the things you worry about with Grangero are key moments with the serve, a couple of key choices here and there, and sometimes
or not key moments with the serve.
Right.
30-15.
And then he tightens up at key points in the match. By tightens up, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean he stops making errors at certain points, which is great. So when the match gets down, they really make it hard for you to beat them.
Wilkinson's serve is very reliable.
30 all.
1-all in the Arraya Parsons Burus Stoisavljevic. Woo!
Chervinsky gave that a ride.
40-30.
He got all of that one.
Yeah, you got all the back screen too. So 40-30 here for Wilkinson Grangero.
Wilkinson is known for his grunting.
It's almost like after the shot, though. Shot goes in the box, then the grunt comes.
Like most things with Wilkinson, it's somewhat inexplicable. This is the second game of the second set. First game, I believe, was won by Chervinsky and McNerney. And you see where Chervinsky and McNerney are having problems finding offense from the backcourt.
Yeah, great job moving those overheads around. So you see that Grangero's got a great push overhead. He's letting the ball drop, pushing the ball deep into the court. I like the way he's hitting it too, because he's moving it through the court a little more. He's not hitting it
Wilkinson
completely
Grangero.
soft. He's got a
1-all
mid-pace on
second
it.
set.
And the umpire confirms the score for us. 1-all second set.
Yeah, it's good to see Grangero and Wilkinson back. You know, they play well together.
McNerney and Chervinsky just look a little confused to me. They don't look like they know where the offense is coming from.
Well, it's like we talked about. I mean, you know, it's not a. They have played together before, but it's not a traditional. You know,
15
partnerships
love.
play together a lot. You know, when Grangero and Wilkinson were playing together, they were knocking on the door. They were right up there. You know, it was one of the top teams in the country. They were tough out.
Semifinals and Nationals played Durant Parsons 3 sets in Connecticut, 2016.
Love.
Now, Grangero does have, you wouldn't say he's like a completely offensive player, but he has good spot offense. You know, he looks for a certain ball. He actually can hit a strong forehand. Now Wilkinson, he does look for that heavy, high, dipping forehand. So they have plenty of offense in the backcourt, and they're solid at the net, and a great volleying team. That's what makes them so tough.
40-15.
See how far over Wilkinson stands to hit that return. Both players very fit also. You know, Wilkinson's coming off of some injuries too.
Yeah, he had a hip injury that cost him most of last year. Came back for the Nationals, but missed every other tournament. And he's a possessor of one of the biggest forehand returns in the country.
Yeah, he hits it. It's kind of heavy and downward. It just dips. So he makes you volley up. And it's always a good thing if you can make your opponent's volley up.
Chervinsky, McNerney, they lead 2-1.
Okay, we're going to come back to the Arraya Parsons match.
See if we can get an updated score here.
I believe Burus is serving 1-all, and it might be 30-40 here. Been some great play.
Deuce.
Nope, it was 40-30, back to deuce. We've also seen some frustration creep into the Burus game. So one point where Stoisavljevic came across the court to hit a forehand and got stuffed in the corner, and Burus was not happy.
Yeah, regardless of how the outcome is for it, it's a great semifinal and a great experience for these guys. They're going to take away a lot from this match. See, to me, that's not great positioning. They should be more on the line. Burus should be closer to the center.
Again, you see that aggressiveness from Parsons. While we were gone, Arraya hit an overhead. It caught the back beam on the top.
Arraya is starting to feel good. He's hitting that putter
Advantage.
well.
Burus, Stoisavljevic.
Burus and Stoisavljevic survived that point.
And it's the little things, like little teamwork things. When Stoisavljevic runs up the line, that Burus has to make sure he moves into the center of the court and back a little bit. You gotta have all this stuff locked down.
Great dipping drive from Parsons. Burus makes the first shot.
Deuce.
And the second one, which is much easier to handle, he fails to convert.
I find that what Parsons does to you, though, is he varies that backhand from a roller to bashing it flat. So he actually caught Burus a little off the net and back there. But you're right, it wasn't a hard shot by any means.
Parsons is fast. Oh, that's just beautiful paddle.
See, again, I would position myself a little
Advantage,
more over to
Arraya
the right there.
Parsons.
And you could see all the movement they created from the backcourt there, which ended up causing an error. There's the hard overhead that causes trouble.
Love that shot there by Burus.
Oh, what a recovery from Parsons.
Oh, they're working him. He's doing a great job. He's
Here
hitting
it
this
comes.
one. Parsons tries the dink game there, and he puts the ball up too high, and Burus stuffs him.
Deuce.
And he gives a good outcry. I love that. These guys are fighting.
Another big hurdle game for Burus Stoisavljevic.
It feels like every game is kind of like that hurdle game, but it is like that when you're trying to beat the #1 seed in your first semifinals. Arraya, but
Advantage,
great play.
Burus.
Burus keeps the volley low. Arraya just misses it.
Started with a couple of good forehands from Parsons.
Great hands. Oh, can't come up
Deuce.
with it though. What a return.
But Parsons looks as confident with that backhand return as I've seen in a couple of years.
And now Burus can hit that serve harder with more spin. He's hitting it about half pace, you know, and maybe doing that, challenge him a little more with the serve and stay back once in a while.
Great get from Parsons filling in behind Arraya. Love to see that type of teamwork. Those feet of Parsons, just happy feet, just going and going. Stoisavljevic made a mistake there, but realized it.
Came back, yeah, it was smart because you do not want to be up there while Parsons is driving it down. What a dig, but gonna go wide.
But Burus made the same mistake.
Advantage,
in the
Arraya
transition game.
Parsons.
Came in that transition game when they're hitting the shot. You think because your opponent's running backwards, but as the ball comes off the screen, he has such control with that drive that he's the one in command there. Slides the ball behind, Burus. Unless you can be right on top of the net, it's not the greatest move.
And along with Durant, Parsons Arraya the best in the position game there is.
Let's go right through his legs. That's great.
Deuce.
Rare backhand miss there.
I love the confidence. Big hug from Arraya.
Yeah,
Guys are having fun.
I think they are.
It's a good sign.
But I think it's an important tournament for Arraya and Parsons, though. But they're still having fun. That's great.
So after that long point, Juan said to Mark, "I think I'm falling in love with you."
Wow, that's some nice. I don't know if that's nice team. I don't know what that is. It's great.
It's
it's great to love
something.
your partner.
And it's nice. It's coming from Juan, who's not prone to a lot of highs and lows. You know that it's very serious.
Right. Well, it's great. Emotion's awesome. Oh, what a great shot. I don't know why Stoisavljevic apologized for hitting it right down
Burus,
the line.
Stoisavljevic.
Well, Arraya lost position there and didn't realize they'd switched and hit it right into the Stoisavljevic forehand.
That's what switching in the backcourt does. It changes the look up there, and sometimes you catch them off balance.
I formation against Parsons.
Great call there, actually. I like the I formation. There you go. Nicely done.
Surprised Burus isn't serving harder to Parsons?
Well, we just talked about that before. I think, you know, having him stay back once in a while. Here's the thing. The harder you serve, the less time you have to get in. But it can be more challenging. The more it could come off the screen. So if he's comfortable with the pace he's doing it. It's not easy to serve him any which way. He's got such a good drive. I still think he's leaving too much room on that line open for down the line drive when the ball goes into Mark Parsons. That's a great play. Catches Burus off the net. If you're going to hit the slow overhead, the purpose is to get back into position at the net.
Yeah, that was a beautiful combination from Arraya. Running to his right, hit the deep lob, came back to his left, and hit that chip right at the Burus feet. That's one of the issues with being a tall guy in this game, Brad. It's not necessarily an advantage.
Tall guy in a small court. But, yeah, he just didn't recognize it. I think he thought his overhead was going a little deeper, but Arraya was well in on that ball, dipping it at his feet.
Advantage, Arraya Parsons.
All right, good. Little fist pump there. That's great. Like it. Positive energy out there. I don't think he said I'm falling in love with you, but
there's hope. Parsons is playing
they're
a lot
starting
of
to
energy.
really feel their game a little bit now. They're hitting their shots.
Great cut overhead from Arraya, and they win another close game to go 2-1 the second set.
But I think that all started with the slow off-pace drive that was not, to me, not purposeful in that point. You know, that Burus hit. I think those are coming out. Quick break. It's fun points, though. I mean, great stuff out there.
Viking Athletics is the premier brand and the undisputed leader in platform tennis. Viking is platform tennis. The Viking Extra Duty Platform Ball has been the #1 selling ball in the industry for the past 20 years. It's the official ball of the APTA, of the APT Nationals and President's Cup, and of course, of the Grand Prix Tour. Looks like Chervinsky and McNerney are turning the tide a little bit over there. It's 3-1 second set for them, with Wilkinson serving.
They got a ton of talent. If they could just harness it and play in the right teamwork format, you know, where they're setting each other up, it sort of looks like they're playing, if they're not playing as two individuals, you know, looking for their own individual shots, if they're looking to set each other up, lob the ball in certain places, look for certain balls, they could easily turn the tide.
Yes.
You know, they have so many shots out there. In fact, they would say they have more shots probably than General Wilkinson.
Brad, talk about that a little bit more, because I think that's a great point. Playing as individuals versus playing as a team.
Yeah, I mean, individually, like we talked about, Chervinsky and McNerney have great shots on both sides. They can hit a ton of drives, but you want to look to set up your partner, hit lobs in certain places. And there's certain places you can hit a ball. For instance, if you lob the ball to the right side of the court, you should be looking for drives to the left side of the court. It's hard to explain out here. You almost need a chalkboard, but if you can play as a team and hit shot in a certain way, you'll set up your strengths and minimize your weaknesses. And when you play as individuals, you're just playing, you know, and you're relying just on your talent out there. And that's what Grangero and Wilkinson do. They're trying to set up their strengths and minimize their weaknesses and get balls to always play to their strengths. It's a huge difference.
Okay, Arraya serving 2-1. Second set. Be the last changeover with the old ball.
Burus hitting a couple of forehands there. He's got to add more spin to that forehand to get more confidence. So he can hit it.
15 love.
Arraya hits the spin overhead. The lobbing from Burus and Stoisavljevic has not been up to par. We talked earlier about they have to get Arraya off the net.
Right.
They haven't done that successfully enough.
Now you can do the two ways. You can go with high deep lobs like that. It's not bad, but then you run the risk if you hit a short one that he can set up and hit the cutter. Or you could do what we saw from Lepiver and Watt, block lob, take the ball early and push the ball low and back in a quicker fashion so that it moves them off the net, but in a lot less time. Now they're going with the high deep lob. We're starting to open up the drive a little bit. Good switch in the backcourt.
Interesting.
Like that. They're giving him a different look. I love the play.
Question is if Stoisavljevic can be able to handle the Arraya spin.
Oh, too bad there by
30
Burus.
love.
Good look. Just didn't get over it.
And I love this positivity from Stoisavljevic.
Yeah. Give him the fist
Michael
bump.
Montalbano will be proud of that.
Oh, what a shot. So dangerous at the net if you hit a
40
half-base
love.
drive. You just,
It actually looked like a clean hit, too.
I couldn't tell if it was a purposeful drop or a miss hit. I mean, I'm going to go with purposeful drop just because I know his skill set, but that was a heck of a shot. I think he
Very,
gave,
very nice of you, Brad.
yeah.
Oh,
Through the legs, definitely feeling fun. I think we're going to switch back and give you a little more of the other action, the Grand Zero Wilkinson against McNerney and Chervinsky
40-15.
after this game.
there's the switch again in the backcourt.
Huge drive there from Burus. See, the great thing for Burus and Stoisavljevic is, regardless of what the outcome is here, their first semifinal, they're playing well, hitting a bunch of great points, and they're an unfinished product. They've got levels to go.
Absolutely. Plenty of juice left in that orange.
Oh, plenty, absolutely.
First time I've seen them switching in the backcourt. I like it a lot.
No, I mean, it's going to be these subtle
40,
moves that
30.
allow that fluid, seamless switching to create different looks out there that all the top teams use.
Big point right here for Burus Stoisavljevic to get back in this game. 40-30.
It starts with the return, but a great
Game,
serve from
Arraya,
Arraya.
Parsons.
There's no
They lead in the
commitment on
second
that
set,
swing
3
from
games
Burus.
to
They
1.
either hit the ball or lobbed the ball. Kind of half went after it.
Right.
Didn't really have a lot of belief.
Yeah, you won't see that very often from a guy like Mark Parsons. He's just hitting. Right?
Okay, we're going to switch back to the first court here.
Get an updated score on that one.
I think it's 4-2 for Chervinsky McNerney, but we'll find out shortly.
There you see a guy like Wilkinson. He's so good technically. If you watch him in this corner from this angle, he just drops his paddle, puts it flat, looking for that forehand that he can hit at any time, moves to the center a lot. See, that's a silly angle from that.
Bad choice.
Bad choice, yep.
15-40.
15-40 with McNerney serving. We believe it's 4-2. There's that big Wilkinson forehand.
A great volley there, Rick. George always looking to pounce and hit a down forehand. That's a heck of an overhead right there. Perfect pace and spin by Chervinsky.
30-40.
He catches the nick.
That was on purpose. He was aiming for it.
I saw Trzynski got so high on that
Game,
volley.
Wilkinson, Grangero. Stravinsky, McNerney lead 4-3.
You got to keep that ball low and deep to the Wilkinson backhand. He won't miss, but he won't hurt you. But that's what makes Grangero and Wilkinson a tough team. They tend to play the right ball, and Marco tends to look to set up that Wilkinson forehand.
And that's what you were talking about earlier, playing as a team, not as individuals.
He's taking a little energy bar break there.
You can see in the next quarter, Arraya Parsons playing.
Get a little, actually you got some double action here, right? So some points from the top there.
I think that on the first court, Burus and Stoisavljevic have done a much better job as playing as a team, Brad.
Well, they're at least trying to think it through. You're seeing some Australian formations, different things. They've sort of abandoned the dumping the ball down the middle, definitely, but they're trying to find
3-4.
sort of a new level that'll work for them here.
Okay, Marco Grangero to serve, 3-4. Referred to Marco's service issues earlier, Brad. Technique is really sound. Nothing wrong with it. It's just the voices in his head.
Yeah, you can't, you know, mental part of the game is huge for every player. Great shot there. McNerney almost tracked down.
Beautiful setting here at the Philly Cricket Club.
Great volley, Grangero. Just solid. You won't see his paddle move an inch. Great pushover. He actually has a cut finish too. If you give him the short right ball, he can cut finishes. Grangero definitely one who is not afraid to go for the body. And he'll do it even on a low volley here or there. It's not a bad play. Sometimes opponents get put off by it, but in the body part of the game.
He didn't need to do it there. He had Stravinsky off the net.
Could have hit a roller. The guy's running back away. And the ball's a little low for that. I agree with you.
He hit a great ball off the back wire. Wilkinson possesses one of the best rollers in the country.
Yeah, he can really attack the deuce court with that shot very well. That's one of the things that Wilkinson loves. He'll hit the ball hard into the screens, expecting the drive, then he's up there and he wants to volley.
So that call was overruled?
It was out. Your call was good.
Well, the call was confirmed.
The call of
correct
out
call
is correct. You're right. Yeah, not the ball was good. Yeah, so that was out.
Have to work with our terminology there.
It was a little confusing the way the umpire was saying it there. Oh, what a shot there.
Great control from McNerney, and they go up 5-3.
McNerney, they lead 5-3.
Might have a 3-setter over here, Brad.
Deal with a Wilkinson return first. He goes with a slow serve and staying back. He knows it's better and a wiser play. Gets in later on. Back and away there a little bit. I'd like to see him cut it off on an angle moving forward if he's going to hit that shot. Grangero has a pretty good forehand, but he needs to hit it the right angle of approach to it. Aye.
30.
It's that short chip, and he's caught off guard by the McNerney poach. Nice play from Nerny.
Love.
Yeah, a few loose points here from. I expected a much tighter game from Granger and Wilkinson here on a set game, and it's just loose errors there from Wilkinson. Yeah, I don't know if fatigue set in. He hasn't played like much of last year, so Wilkinson may look a little tired out there because it's either mental fatigue, because that was the loosest game I've seen them play at an important point, and that's what they're known for, playing tight games and tough points.
Okay, so they split sets. We're going to come back to the Parsons Arraya match. See the end of the second set right here in a moment after these messages on the APTA Network, presented by eNet Live. Okay, welcome back to the APT Grand Prix Series. We're in the second set of the semifinal match between Arraya Parsons and Burus Stoisavljevic. I believe the score is 3-2 Arraya Parsons. We'll confirm that in just a moment.
Now you see them in the backcourt in opposite positions that they're returning from now. You got Burus in the deuce court and Roman Stoisavljevic, the lefty, in the backcourt here. That gives the opponents a different look. And Stoisavljevic can hit the ball at both wings, forehand and backhand.
And Arraya's being much more careful with his overheads.
Nice, good little roller there from Stoisavljevic.
3-all in the second set.
And they break back 3-all.
That
switch
huge.
has really impacted the match.
I love it. They're thinking their way through, trying to find new ways to attack this. And this is, like you said, this is an unfinished product. This team's only going to get better and better. Oh, that sneaky return. Let Corden around the outside of Burus. Too good.
That's a dangerous angle.
Ooh, I agree with the call.
All right, he's
Call
not overruled.
confirmed.
I think Burus thought that was in. You know, there are always a lot of breaks of serve in platform tennis, but
40.
Just get a tough, hard-fought break back. It's so good for you mentally to get a hold here. And they're at love 40. There's the harder serve that we talked about. I'd like to see him break that out more. Challenge the Parsons return. Hit that hard serve in there.
You're really playing it to his hands when you're hitting the three-quarter pace one. You just got to try and beat him to that side wire.
That's right. Heavy spin, hard serve in there. Switch at the net there.
Not quite such an elegant switch.
Yeah, a little bump into each other. Great lob. Fake drive there from Burus.
Sometimes his real forehand drives are fake drives.
He's going to continue working on it. So he can add some spin and confidence to that wing.
Look for the switch here in the backcourt. They've been so effective with it.
I like it too because it actually puts it's a little harder to attack Stoisavljevic in that backhand corner. Arraya starting to work his magic up there with the overheads.
There they go.
Great play. Love it. No, wrong ball.
Game,
Didn't
Arraya
recognize the
Parsons,
spin.
they lead the second set, 4
Just
games
needed a
to
little
3.
more patience over there. He's gotten so many good swings with the forehand. He rushed that one.
like that switch in the backcourt. I think that's a great play.
So for our viewers out there, we're planning to stick with this match for the end of the second set, and then we're going to show you the conclusion of the Grangero, Wilkinson, Chervinsky, McNerney match.
That's it. Perfect. I'm looking forward to it, Mark. This is great. Some incredible paddle. Perfect day to play. Cloudy.
Temperature's just low enough. The ball's not flying.
Yep.
No wind to speak of.
Yeah, we noticed in the end of that second set there that, you know, Wilkinson mentally and physically maybe not quite ready for all this tournament play, but he definitely wilted a little in the second there, but I think he's gathering his energy for a tough third set. That's a great ball there from, well struck with confidence there from Stoisavljevic.
Arraya hit the overhead too hard there. Great job closing the net, but the ball caught the tape.
Good switch back there again. I love it. They're thinking their way through this match, changing the looks. And so when they switch and move it this way, Stoisavljevic can kind of creep into the center a little, try to bait him over into his corner where he can cut off a forehand. And Burus has the backhand in the middle. Nicely done. Perfect spot off the hip
30
of Parsons.
Arraya kind of set him up for that one with the overhead.
Yeah, the ball didn't bite the way he wanted it to. He didn't get the spin on it. Uh-oh.
15-30.
It's a good shot of the angst there on Stoisavljevic. He overplayed that other ball. Ran right past it. Couldn't track it down.
Well, that ball was in his happy spot, Brad.
But he's yelling to move his feet. He didn't move up and in to get it. The ball sat up and he stood still.
Critical game here. $30 all. Switching in the backcourt again.
I like that play for them. It's great. There's that backhand in the middle. Well done. The high, easy
30,
overhead
40.
to the Burus backhand. Drives it down. Great play.
Well, that was a bad overhead regardless of who was playing the deuce side from Parsons.
Yeah, I can't disagree. But I love this now. By creating these different looks, it's nothing predictable here now for Arraya and Parsons. Makes a huge difference.
Great lob from Burus.
Oh, wow, well done.
Can't believe that ball stayed in the court. It was hit with so much spin. Once it hit the net, you thought it was gone. And the lob goes over the court.
Warm enough where the ball bounces over the court and out of play.
What do you think of that rule, Brad? Do you think you should penalize the lobber for that shot?
You know, in the past I would have thought no, but I think, you know, it's a good rule because then you'd have everybody just skying the ball as high as they can every time and trying to bounce it out.
What if it was a lead if it bounced out?
Then there'd be no point in doing it, so I guess it wouldn't matter. But no, I think the rule's good as it is. What a great shot there by Arraya.
15.
I've been back and forth on that, though. What's your opinion on that?
I think it should be a lead if the ball bounces out of the court in a lob. I don't think it should be penalized for that. Parsons looks confident, doesn't he?
There's a big backhand from Burus. Love it.
Got away with that medium-paced ball, which Arraya normally eats up.
Well, Arraya wasn't quite there yet. Parsons was at the net first. See Arraya moving forward whenever Parsons gets ready to drive.
15 all.
This is great play from Burus and Stoisavljevic, standing up, thinking their way through it, create some different looks in the backcourt.
Arraya's been taking some swings at this serve.
15-30.
And that accomplishes two things. One, you create some offense, but also you put a little more pressure on the server. Hit a better serve.
That's that transition game that is so tough. They're so good at.
40.
Just so little reward from Burus hanging in there trying to make that volley. The ball was so far off the back wire, and Parsons is winding up. I think you got to bail there.
You know, it's not even the pace of the ball. He spots it so well off to the side of Burus. And Burus, we were talking about this with Jerry yesterday, you got to face the driver. So angle your body so that your body's perpendicular to who's hitting that ball. He might have had a chance of making that if he did.
There you see all the variety out of the Parsons backhand that you talked about earlier, Brad. Hard and flat, roller, and here comes with the blitz.
Oh, what a play. And Burus not paying
Game,
attention,
Parsons,
looking back at Stoisavljevic hitting that overhead. He would have known he was coming in.
Well, in fairness, Stoisavljevic is really good looking. It's hard to take his eyes off him.
Can't
I know
take
I
his
have
eyes
that
off
problem. Burus apologizes. And I really think this has been a big hurdle match for these guys, win or lose. I like how they've thought their way through the match, and I like how they've been a team. At the end of the first set, it looked to me like they might go their separate ways on the court, which I've seen from them numerous times, but not today. They kind of hung in there together, worked together as a unit, and as a result, they played a really competitive set, which they may yet win.
Yeah, no, they're right in there. I mean, they got to break back right now, but I like the way they're playing. You got to take a lot of positive things away from this, for sure, no matter what the result is.
Okay, so Parsons will serve for the match. 5-4, second set. Haven't been a lot of holds of late.
But their adjustments have allowed them to stay in there and create different looks back there. You haven't seen any dominating overheads. They're starting to play more of the right shot at the right time. That's a tough one.
Surprised they haven't switched.
Yeah, I like it better when they do.
Because they're not generating much offense this way.
There
goes
it
the
is.
switch.
Push up to get it.
And here's where Arraya's got to stay disciplined, which is something that's tough for him. He's got to stay away from that Stoisavljevic forehand.
15, love.
Yeah.
It's one of those inexplicable misses you see from time to time out of Stoisavljevic.
And Burus with the positive body language, give him a hand slap. Yeah, I like that. Burus is long. If he can dip that back in and get a blitz once in a while, it's not a bad play. That is the wrong ball at the wrong time. You're in a crucial game. You must break. You're taking a low ball at the net with Arraya standing there.
And that's the ball Parsons is begging him to drive.
That's right. You know, and these are just these moments that we're talking about that are going to be part of the development here of Stoisavljevic.
Parsons with a couple of great volleys again. So he is really playing well. And speaking of not such intelligent shots,
30-15.
A cutter on that ball was moving a little faster than that. I mean, clearly he has the backhand cutter, but
clearly that wasn't the right shot. Parsons follows with a fault.
Perfect, 30 all. All
It's
right.
just one loose point that allows your opponents to
Makes
get back in it.
All the difference in the world, Mark. That's why you look at some of the champions teams like Goodspeed and Manziger.
Broderick and Palmer.
Right, they're just played disciplined all the time. Now, I have to admit, it's less exciting, because they're disciplined all the time, but it is very effective.
Great volley from Parsons,
40,
and he punctuates
30.
it with a fist pump. I tell you, this is one of the best matches I've seen Mark Parsons play in a couple of years.
All right, so match point here for Arraya and Parsons. Stoisavljevic said about that
When
sequence.
this match ends, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to go over to the other court.
Great return from Burus there.
Deuce.
Dipping the ball down at a crucial moment.
Or we'll go straight over there, assuming this match ends in the next 45 minutes.
Great
There's the
teamwork
switch.
there, and then the switch. Very nicely done. Yeah, that's what you'll see when teams get to that level. You'll see this seamless movement.
And yeah, Arraya's pounding the middle of the court. Just where he needs to hit the ball.
He's got to watch
not
out for
there.
this bat. Yeah, he's got to watch out for the Burus backhand, though. Not smart, though. Just cutters to the spinning away from Burus into the Stoisavljevic backhand. He's going to take it.
Oh, he
There's
just baited
Arraya.
him. Oh, what
Baiting
a
him.
dig.
What a dig.
We got to see that one again.
Smart. He got him.
What
well
a point.
done.
Advantage, Burus.
Huge play from Burus and Stoisavljevic. What a dig there by Stoisavljevic.
Amazing get. Looks like Parsons Arraya thought the point was over.
That's a great volley. Nice and deep. Here, he's going to the switch right away.
I think the Parsons overhead would be more effective against this switch. I don't know whether Arraya Parsons haven't switched back yet. Or they're not planning to, but I like the roller from Parsons there. It's going to be a much harder drive.
It's a good setup for them. You got the Burus backhand in the middle. The one shot that Burus kind of has on the forehand is if you give him a high one, he can hit it down. So he has that a little bit too. Oh, wow.
Yep, Arraya switches. And
oh,
Parsons
what a
catches the
nick by Parsons. Huge play. Great point.
Deuce.
And he just got caught a little flat-footed recognizing that ball going into the crease there. You got to run up the line and commit to it. Call for help. Partner comes to the middle. Just didn't recognize it in time.
Surprised that Burus didn't continue the switch there.
They weren't ready for it, but now good seamless switch. I love this move. I find them to be much more dangerous this way and less apt to be attacked. Now, Arraya's going to keep pumping that middle with that cutter that moves away from Burus, but still a better look for him. That's Burus ball. Nicely done.
Third panel
He
slam.
misses it.
Advantage, Arraya Parsons.
Match point.
Match point number 2. Boy, Stoisavljevic could have hit that ball.
That's a big point. I think he thought better of it. Waiting for the right ball. I like. Oh, and a surprise
Deuce.
volley miss there from Arraya.
Did
Right
not choose the right ball, but got away with it. Trzynski McNerney win the first game. Third set over there. Great shot from Arraya. Yeah, I think that Arraya and Parsons are making a mistake here by not allowing Parsons to hit more of the overheads.
Oh, Burus with a sneaky little
Advantage,
backhand.
Burus.
And
Stoisavljevic.
caught unaware up there. You got to know he's going to hit that shot.
Another break opportunity.
Great game here from Burus and Stoisavljevic. We talk about the big points and them playing up and stepping up and not being too passive in them. Looks like they're coming and reaching that hurdle of really understanding how to play them. It just takes more practice doing them. That's why it's so huge for them to be in a semifinal.
There's the switch. Third panel slam. Well, that did not look good.
He's got to be a little quicker recognizing it, Burus.
Not good communication in the center there. Arraya's got to be careful with that waterfall overhead to Burus.
Burus is going to wait for that right backhand. He has the high forehand off the screen, but they're not giving him that either, so it's good. I like the way this is going because you have Burus and Stoisavljevic. They actually have Arraya and Parsons having to be careful now.
How's this point going to end, Brad?
Well, it's probably going to end with a drive and a missed volley. That's what I'm going to go with. Oh,
Deuce.
Just a missed drive.
Just broke down a little bit with his discipline. I don't know whether he got tight, feet stopped moving. What wasn't a ball you'd expect him to miss 100 times out of 100, right?
No, just didn't hit it, didn't execute. That volley by Arraya, rock solid.
Arraya's
Nice
so
blitz.
still on those volleys. Watch the
First
transition.
backhand. Oh, so good up there, Arraya.
Advantage.
So
Arraya,
hard to
Parsons.
avoid getting baited into those points. Sometimes Parsons and Arraya let that ball bounce to amp up the speed of play to create that exchange. Set match point number 3.
You drive the ball through, you think you're coming forward, you cut off the volley, and you think you're in good position, but then Parsons is driving, Arraya's coming forward. It's tough. Nice spot, but a great volley from Arraya. Oh, beautiful spot off the hip of Parsons. I tell you, these guys are toughening up, playing some great ball here.
Great play from Stoisavljevic there.
So 3 match points saved.
Yep.
Nice.
Top spin lob. Didn't know that shot
Advantage,
existed, Brad.
Arraya,
Well,
Parsons.
that's why we generally don't use it that often. Although you see, you know, some top players like Mark Powers use it from time to time because he holds his forehand so well.
Match point number 4 goes the wayside of a Parsons fault. 2-love, Trzynski, McNerney, third set. They seem to be rolling.
Yeah, it could be what we were talking about before. It could be that, you know, mental and physical fitness right now. Oh, 2 topspin lobs in a row. He goes
Advantage,
for it.
Arraya,
Crucial
Parsons.
moments.
And we talked about a little this last year, Brad. If these moments in time, you can only do what you do exceptionally well. Don't get beat by your second or third pitch, is the baseball analogy.
Right.
Match point number 5.
I think Burus was thinking exactly what you thought there. Do what you do really well there, and hitting the forehand right now, and that's not Burus' #1 shot, so he's passed on it earlier. So good at the net, Arraya. He's going to hit the high forehand. Huge play. He will hit the high forehand.
Love the competitiveness from these guys.
This is great, Mark. You know, like we talked about, regardless of the outcome, you know you're there, and you know it's just 1 or 2 things that put you right over the top. Get back to the drawing board, whether they win or lose this one. Huge. Oh, what a shot off the screen.
Advantage,
A little
Arraya,
flipper
Parsons.
drive.
But the mistake from Stoisavljevic, he should have let his partner come in. He should have stayed back, put himself in a dangerous position.
Either that or you get right on top of the net. You can't, he was hanging back there.
6th match point.
Yep.
Game has gone past the 7-minute mark.
Stand back. Oh!
These guys are just fighting. You love to see the spirit from them.
Like looks to hit not a topspin lob. A good choice. See if they switch in the backcourt again.
I think it's inevitable. Parsons misses the overhead wide.
Advantage.
Another
Burus,
break opportunity.
Stoisavljevic.
Isn't it the beauty of our sport, Brad, the scoring system? You can't run the clock out. You got to win that last point, no matter how far behind you are.
Yep, there's no, you have to finish it. That's the way it goes. There's no timing out here. Oh, break from Burus and Stoisavljevic.
Wow. Tremendous game.
Burus, Stoisavljevic, 5 games apiece.
Yeah, you know, Burus is showing focus and the ability to stay with a deliberate lob setup and look for the right ball. It's a huge, huge difference here.
5-all.
That was a gutty game from Burus and Stoisavljevic.
Now you want to see him back it up with a good, solid game.
Oh, yes,
win
that would
or
be amazing.
lose.
Yep. As long as you keep the points in a positive manner, there's something to go for. Don't give it points away. Make the wrong choices.
I saw the ball was in.
Yep.
The point is to Arraya Parsons. Love 15.
I don't know. From my vantage point, I saw it as in 2 here, but it's hard for us to call.
No idea.
Yeah, confirmed here from the umpire, so it's love 15.
Key thing here is not what the call was made, because that's not changing. It's how Burus and Stoisavljevic handled this situation.
Yep. Burus is not, you know, he's not that, he's emotional in the sense he wants to win, but he's not
15 all.
apt to get too bothered. He'll keep moving on. He moves on pretty well.
Boy, Arraya had them in all sorts of trouble there and missed the volley.
That's great serve
30,
pace.
15.
I'm not sure why Araya's letting that go to the screen. Burus is not giving him the hard serve.
Hasn't hit any of those off the deck.
Yeah, he's not feeling that confident with that return. I'd be hitting that off the deck. 30-15. No. Tough ball there. Great pace.
All.
Like to see him use it Australian or
Yeah, I
something,
think it's a
or
mistake
stay
to
back.
be serving to Parsons in the conventional style. He's hit his backhand so well today. Well, that was wide.
Oh, so amazing.
That we'd like to see a replay of.
Yeah, it just cuts it
Hit
perfect.
that cut, stretched out completely.
But the problem is they're not controlling that net. They're giving the ball in there to the Parsons backhand
Great
right
move
away.
by Burus Stoisavljevic going Australian here.
Still crushes it, but they're still in the point.
Boy, that let court actually hurt Burus Stoisavljevic. Okay, let's take a look at that amazing shot from Arraya. Wow.
Cut drop, fully extended.
To get that
Great
much
play.
spin in the ball on the move while you're completely extended, it's just remarkable.
There's the problem. They're doing a switch into the Parsons backhand, though. It's going to get you into trouble. If you switch at the net, you got to get that ball into the screen or slow deep to the back screen.
Great awareness from Arraya, sensing that from them.
He's always looking to move forward when Parsons is driving.
Great job by Kelly Diesel and the net team showing us that. Some positive energy from Grangiero Wilkinson.
Yeah, we just looked over there and we saw one of Grangiero's offensive volley winners there as he stands up, puts it away. All right, we're going to have to see another tough, gritty game here from Burus and Stoisavljevic. They played a great game to break to stay in the match last time. See if they got another one in them. Love to see a tiebreaker here.
I think they saved 7 match points.
Yep. It's, you know, it's an epic game. One of those things that can define how your career moves forward, kind of.
That ball was going wide.
There's a switch at the net. Great play. Burus has been playing so disciplined in the right way of looking for the backhand drive.
But again,
after a good lob.
Parsons' overhead has been so much more effective than Arraya's against this switch, and they haven't understood that. Right. They switch back again. Put Arraya's overhead in the middle.
Right. Arraya's great at attacking the ad court, but he can't afford to hit the ball down into the ad court now with Stoisavljevic over there. Nick, that's it. Got to be covering that.
15 love.
Well done there by Arraya.
But a dangerous overhead against Burus over there. All you'd expect him to read.
It's just great hands up there from both Parsons and Arraya.
And Stoisavljevic, unfortunately, he had the 3rd best hands in that point.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's tough. 30 love. 40 love. All right.
Triple match points.
Triple match points.
Number 8, 9, and 10 if necessary.
Yep. I think they're setting it up for an epic comeback here. 1 point at a time. The really high lob from Burus. And then the drive-by flying poke from Parsons.
40-15.
That's where he's going for an offensive winner out of the blue.
Okay. Match point number 9.
Oh, sneaky. They don't expect him to hit the forehand, and he does.
A lot of confidence on match point. Arraya misses the lob, and we're up to double digits, Brad.
40-30.
These guys just won't go away.
Love it. Last couple points a little loose there from Arraya Parsons. They got to take this match. They've shown they're gritty. They can't wait for their opponents to lose it because they're not. Love it.
Arraya taking a long time here.
I think it's a good idea. So Nick.
Arraya finds the nick and Burus gets it. Great read.
Nice dig from Burus.
Another nick from Parsons.
All right.
Burus is on it.
Great lob.
Drivable ball.
Okay. All right. I don't mind.
Patience.
Take a choice. I love it. He doesn't know where Arraya is, and he chooses the lob. I love it.
Interesting that they haven't switched in the backcourt.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that, actually. Had such success. Wow. Third nick gotten. Oh, they're making him work now.
Tremendous point. Great defense from Burus and Stoisavljevic. Or counterattack, as Jerry Viant would tell me to say.
Doesn't look like counterattack. Yeah, it looks like a defense right now.
There's the blitz from
Oh
Burus.
my
He
God,
gets away with it.
Point. I can't believe that. I don't even know if that was a great ball to blitz on. That was gutsy play. Wow.
You're at the net now, Brad. Are you wondering how you could possibly end this point? They've gotten 3 or 4 great nicks.
That's what it takes. You gotta play
Third
this
panel
point
slam.
so tight. See, I think this is where you might go for a shot and then give up the net. You know, go for a hard ball, see, create some transition. Oh my goodness! And there it is, folks.
Catches the top of the
heck
tape.
of a match.
Spectacular paddle, Brad.
I have to say that was just great. You know, Burus and Stoisavljevic have to feel really, really good after this one. You play one of the top teams in the country. You do more than acquit yourself out there. You think your way through it. You start finding the right level of game for you guys.
I think this performance establishes themselves as one of the top teams in the country.
I would have to agree with you. You know, if they play like this, it seemed like in matches before, they would get a little lost in some tight ones. Today, they really thought their way through it. Great job.
Okay, I'll be back in a moment with the conclusion of the Grangero-Wilkinson Chervinsky-McNerney match after these messages right here on the APTA Network, presented by eNet Live. Welcome back to the APTA Grand Prix Series Tour. We're in the semifinal match between Grangero-Wilkinson and Chervinsky-McNerney. We believe the score is 3-1, 40-30, but we'll find out in a minute. Seeing signs of fatigue from George Wilkinson here. This is George's deepest foray in a while. Great get there from him. Another great get. Wow, great pickup. And hits his Zorro shot through, and they take over the net. Great ball from McNerney.
McNerney, they lead 4-1. So
that's 4-1. Chervinsky-McNerney, wasn't that a well-spotted drive from Graham McNerney there, Brad?
That was perfect. Right down the line, he catches Grangero out of position. Rarely out of position, but perfect spot. I tell you, that was what a finish there from Burus and Stoisavljevic there.
Tremendous, just tremendous.
The way they played those match points down, incredible. I really think that was a formative thing for them.
Yeah, I think that was a match they'll look back on as kind of a benchmark when they took the next step as a team, played together. You know, the time between sets wasn't good, but then they came out and they were a unit. They were not two individuals. And that's a lot of the things that I attribute to their success.
No, at the end there you could see a flow to the points, the way they were looking, the switch in the backcourt, and it changed the dynamic of the match completely. You know, it was really, they were right there. They could have had that second set.
Just a great match. The last 3 Arraya Parsons matches have all been tremendous. 6 sets, which they've all won, but great battle.
Yeah, but they're working it. I mean, they're really earning this one. And I think for them, too, as a team, I mean, they obviously have so many matches and high-level matches on the belt, but for them as a team, it's great for them as well.
Yep. Those are the matches you like. You get tested.
30, love.
Yeah, you can see George tiring, not getting into the net as much.
Back-to-back return misses are like a breath of oxygen. So just to recap, it's 1-4, third set. Wilkinson serving love 30. Boy, Grangero bailed early there, didn't he?
Yep. You know, you don't see a lot of that out of Grangero. He stands in as well as the next guy, but
yeah, that was surprising. For ranking purposes, this tournament's got a multiplier of 3.625. So some hefty points these guys are playing for.
Well, for Grangero and Wilkinson, it's going to make a huge difference as they step back together as a team. You know, because this is one of those interesting tournaments where the seeds are all over the map because we have so many new teams here.
Well, that and the fact that we're missing the 2 top teams from last year.
Yep.
30-15.
Wilkinson closes and ducks as Grangero bails.
It's actually kind of a smart play. He knows his partner's got him covered, and what he's doing is baiting the guy in to try and hit it at him hard. And if the guy does, he might make an error, or he might hit a 2R off the screen, give Grangero an opportunity, make it easier for him to track down.
There's that great block lob from Wilkinson. There's Grangero closing the net off.
Yeah, and he closes right on top, and he goes to the side. He commits to the backhand volley, and if you drive it at him, he angle volleys it for a winner. He's probably one of the best in the game at that.
40-15. Great lob there from Chervinsky.
Oh, great shot there from Grangero moving forward into the court. Chervinsky backing away, though. You either stay in position or you bail.
Right.
You can't do both of them at the same time. If you're backing up the way he is, let it go. Track it down off the back and lob it up.
No reason to do that. Just giving away a point. So McNerney serving 4-2. Final set.
You guys are doing great.
Oh, wow, what a rip.
Wilkinson gets beaten in transition there.
Yeah, he definitely looks a little sluggish. You watch him, it's almost a slight limp going on there from Wilkinson. He definitely looks fatigued.
I hope it's just fatigue and not that hip.
Yeah, no, I mean, he spent, like you said, all last year, couldn't play really at all. Except for the last match, last tournament, the Nationals.
Brett, talk a little bit about Graham McNerney's game. So all of a sudden had some big success, made the semis here last year, and then obviously won Patterson last week.
Yeah, McNerney is just been evolving as a player, you know, and he's taken the perfect steps. He plays with a lot of different partners, so he's understanding multiple styles of play. He's learning how to become, as you say, an alpha on the court. He's also good at dialing his game back and becoming, you know, the number 2 player on the court who stays steady. So he's becoming a very versatile player. He's got cut overheads, great dipping forehand for offense. He doesn't really crush the ball, but he uses the dipper and moves forwards. He's very up and coming, one of the great partners to have out there because he can morph his style, and he's a very versatile player. He can do basically everything out on the court. Stays positive. He's a great partner.
Reminds me a little bit of Burus. I mean, obviously the weapons in the backcourt are on different sides. But, you know, volleys real well, serves real well. Doesn't have an explosive weapon from the backcourt. Great volley there.
He's a little more offensive with his overheads right now than Burus is. And a couple more tricks. Burus may be more solid. Burus is solid. Rock solid at this point in time. You know, but I think McNerney's got a couple more tricks, but But similar in styles, yep. I mean,
5 games to 2.
and I think he's been out definitely, through the wars. He loves playing with different partners to find different styles, and he's one who's another young player, just up and coming. He's not up and coming, he's there.
Now we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit at 5-2 in the third because this match is clearly still up for grabs. Talk a little bit about how Chervinsky-McNerney would match up with Arraya Parsons.
Chervinsky-McNerney and Arraya Parsons, is going to be an interesting thing. I think both teams are still going to go back to the same thing that we talked about before, their ability to play as a team. Arraya and Parsons are definitely starting to gel a little bit out there. They're working their magic. Arraya gets to do what he needs to up at the net. Parsons is doing it. If they can capture, looks like there's a good flow here. It also looks like, Wilkins is tired, but there's a good flow here. If they can find a way to exploit them and look for those opportunities in the court, they're going to do well out there as long as they keep their shot selection in check. We've got a lob volley, plays in to look for the blitz, doesn't get it, it's the lob volley. That's just beautiful play there from McNerney.
Looks like Grangero got crossed up between a backhand and a forehand volley there.
Yep.
Which was odd because normally he's amongst the best in the game at positioning himself to hit that backhand volley. So just to recap, Grangero serving 2-5, final set, 15-love. It's one of those rare opportunities, Brad, I get to give Timo Arraya this score.
Yeah.
Switching it up a little bit.
Yeah, what do you think would be one of the keys for McNerney and
shot.
Chervinsky in that match if they win this one?
I think one of the keys to beating Arraya, as we saw in the last match, is you have to be able to hurt him against that side wire.
Right.
And if you don't have a backhand or you don't have a lefty over there, a.k.a. Drew Broderick, it's hard.
Yeah, what you mean is when Araya's at the net hitting overheads into the backcourt side wire, you have to be able to cut him off, because if you don't, you start getting twisted around. You get into the washing machine, as we say.
Now, McNerney-Kaler beat him last week, but he wasn't playing with Mark Parsons. So we'll see how that evolves if they get there. Not there yet. Great move from Grangero there.
Nice touch there from McNerney.
There's the offensive volley you talked about.
So good, George.
They both wanted to slash that ball.
Yep. And both set up. And Wilkinson does have the backhand slash on specific balls, and that was perfectly done.
(40-15).
Another offensive volley from Grangero. He's great. Great up there. That's dangerous, smart bail. Ball too high off the screen, leave the net when you don't have an advantage or a good chance of making the volley. I think that was a 40-15 shot. If I make it, great. If I don't, well, we'll serve it out next door.
But as we talked about,
1 point makes a difference.
1 point makes a difference.
Because it can get you away from what you're doing in the next go-around.
Here's the draw. We've got Arraya Parsons waiting for the winner of this match. So Marek Chervinsky serve for the match. 5-3 in the third. See if we get a better game out of
nice little slippery shot.
That's a little wild from Wilkinson. He's got to let that ball through.
And I think it's also the fatigue we talked about. I think he's not sure what his body can do at this point. Normally he might be able to get over there, but he might be a little bit slower than he anticipated on that shot. Got to know what your body's going to do. Quite necessarily in tournament shape yet.
Wilkinson with a rare two-hander.
Yeah, I ripped that one. So, Mark, what happens after this match? How long do the players get for the next one?
Strange
30
miss there from
love.
Granger's got to put that ball in play. Finals will be 1 hour from the completion of this match. Well, this is the type of game they played to finish the second set, which is so surprising.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like we said. They're as a team, they're ready to go, but they got to get back into kind of tournament match toughness. Because you're right, that's exactly what we saw at the end of the second set. Oh, such a great volley there. They just stand right up and stuff it back. But in such great position at the net, why wouldn't you just lob it?
Right, they both closed simultaneously. Both took that check step and closed the net together. They do look like that pair of gloves that you like the most, that you put on and they just feel so comfortable.
Yep. Nice. That's the look, though. That Wilkinson forehand does damage. Too good. He's off his heels, doesn't have the legs underneath him to track it down.
1-6, 6-3, 6-3.
Okay, so the finals will be at 12:25 approximately, 12:30. And we'll be back at that point for hopefully another exciting match after these messages right here on the APTA Network, presented by eNet Live.
When it's your job to protect the world's greatest nation, it's your responsibility to solve the world's greatest challenges. This is why we search for the best and brightest, why we train for every eventuality, on land and water, in the air, space, and even cyberspace. We operate in a complex world with one simple mission: win.